Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful tools in all of cinema, suspense. We're going to get into how filmmakers so meticulously craft that feeling of dread, that anticipation that keeps us absolutely glued to the screen, totally unable to look away.
You know that feeling, right? Your muscles get all tense, you're literally holding your breath, your heart is just hammering away in your chest. Well, that physical reaction, that is no accident. It is the result of a very carefully built emotional journey, designed by artists to get a hold of your feelings one single frame at a time.
So how in the world do they do it? Well, it all starts on the page, with a script. That's the writer's blueprint for creating all those questions and that sense of worry. But a blueprint is just a plan. It's the cinematographer who takes that plan and paints it onto the screen, using the powerful tools of light and shadow to make that fear feel real.
So, here's our roadmap. We'll start by breaking down the anatomy of suspense itself. Then, we'll check out the writer's toolkit before seeing how cinematographers bring it all to life with their own brush. From there, we're going to do a deep dive with a case study on film noir, and finally, trace the legacy of its shadows all the way into the movies we watch today. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, it's really important to know that storytellers use a kind of 1-2 punch. They don't just use one big feeling. They actually use two distinct but related tools to get that heart-pounding reaction from us: suspense and tension. And it all begins on the page.
So, way before any lights are set up or a single camera rolls, the writer is laying the foundation. Let's take a look at how they build this incredible sense of unease with just words on a page, starting with that really crucial distinction. First up is suspense. You should think of suspense as an intellectual hook. It's the engine that literally pulls you through the story because it plants a question deep in your mind. Who's the killer? Are they going to get away with it? Are those two going to end up together? You keep watching because you just need to know the answer. Tension, on the other hand, that's the emotional gut punch. It's the discomfort and the anxiety you feel right in the moment. It's not about some future question. It's about the immediate worry of what's happening right now. It's that feeling in the pit of your stomach that something is about to go terribly, terribly wrong. Now, the undisputed master of this whole craft, Alfred Hitchcock, had a simple but absolutely brilliant formula. He believed that real suspense doesn't come from surprising the audience. Nope, it comes from letting us, the audience, in on a secret the characters don't know.
He explained this perfectly with his famous bomb under the table analogy. Look, if two people are talking and a bomb suddenly goes off, the audience gets, what, a 10-second shock? But if you show the audience the bomb being placed under the table first, and then the characters sit down and start chatting about something totally mundane, like baseball, completely unaware of the danger, well, suddenly that boring conversation is the most riveting thing you've ever seen. You're screaming at the screen, "Get out of there!" That is the art of suspense.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint from the writer. The suspense is right there on the page. But how does a filmmaker take that and make it something we can see and feel? Well, this is where the cinematographer steps in.
The word cinematography itself literally means writing with movement. I mean, how cool is that? A cinematographer doesn't just record what's happening, they interpret the script's emotional core, and they use the camera and light to write the story in a visual language of shadow, color, and motion.
And if you want a masterclass in visual suspense, there is no better example than the cinematic style of film noir. This genre, which popped up in the 1940s, is just an incredible lesson in how to use darkness to tell a story. To really get noir, you have to start seeing shadows differently. They aren't just empty space, they are active characters in the story. I mean, think about that iconic image of the bars of light from Venetian blinds cutting across someone's face. It doesn't just look cool, it makes you feel like they're in a cage, like they're trapped. In noir, shadows hide threats, but they also reveal a character's fractured soul. Now, the visual DNA of noir actually came from German expressionist cinema back in the 1920s. After World War I, those filmmakers used these distorted sets and really high-contrast lighting to visually show the anxiety and psychological chaos of that whole era. And when many of them fled to Hollywood, they brought that visual language with them. Noir lighting was this radical rejection of the typical Hollywood style. Musicals and comedies used bright, even lighting to make everything feel safe and super clear. Noir did the exact opposite. It embraced this low-key, high-contrast style that hid more than it showed you, creating this world of danger and moral uncertainty.
So what's the recipe for this look? Well, it's all about letting shadows just command the frame. That's called low-key lighting.
Cinematographers create this stark battle between light and deep black using high contrast. It's a technique with a fancy name, chiaroscuro. They use hard light sources to get those sharp, defined shadows, and they'll strategically place lights from the side or even from underneath to create mystery. And, this is crucial, they use almost zero fill light, which is what plunges the shadows into these pure black voids where absolutely anything could be hiding.
And this is why it's so powerful. The lighting isn't just for mood, it is a storytelling tool. A shadow that falls across a character's face isn't just a shadow, it's a visual representation of their inner conflict, their hidden secrets, or maybe the oppressive forces that are closing in on them.
But you might be thinking, this is all old-school black and white stuff, right? Wrong. This style did not die in the 1950s. The techniques that were pioneered in film noir are fundamental to how suspense is created in movies today. Its legacy is absolutely everywhere. The style evolved into something we now call neo-noir. Filmmakers kept the low-key lighting and the moral gray areas, but they added a whole new layer, color. So now, shadows could be infused with cold blues to show isolation, or the sick-looking glow of a neon sign could represent the corruption of the city. Some filmmakers take these classic ideas and push them to a hyper-stylized extreme. Think of a movie like Sin City. They basically took the noir look and just cranked the dial all the way up to 11, creating this living graphic novel where the blacks are absolute and these little splashes of color carry immense symbolic meaning.
Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got filmmakers who use modern tech to pay this perfect tribute to the past. The Coen brothers' film The Man Who Wasn't There is just a masterclass in recreating that classic noir aesthetic, using modern tools to get a look that feels completely authentic to the 1940s.
And then others go back even further, all the way to noir's expressionist roots. A film like The Lighthouse is a perfect example. They used vintage lenses, actual black and white film stock, and this claustrophobic, nearly square screen to create this intense atmosphere that perfectly mirrors its characters just descending into madness.
So why do modern filmmakers keep coming back to black and white when we live in an age of infinite color? Well, sometimes it's a stylistic tribute, a nod to the masters. Other times, it's the best way to explore moral ambiguity, or to really heighten the psychological intensity of a story. And sometimes, it's just about creating a timeless, classic feel that color just can't quite replicate.
From the writer's first questions to the cinematographer's final shadows, every single element of suspense is a deliberate choice. The goal is to create an itch that the audience is just dying to scratch. So the next time you find yourself on the edge of your seat, look closer. The shadows aren't just empty space. They're telling you the story. The only question is, will you see them differently now?